Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your November 2021 general reading. We are looking at the first 2 weeks of November, and this reading is for the water sign of Scorpio. Welcome everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for taking the time to be here to watch this video, any of the videos on my YouTube channel, and great appreciation for all of your likes and shares and subscribing, feedback, comments. Those of you who reach out for personal readings, thank you for all of it. So, this reading is for Scorpio for the first 2 weeks of November 2021. That's if your Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus sign is in Scorpio. It's relevant if you're cross-watching for a Scorpio. It's a general reading, so of course it's going to resonate a little differently for everyone, and particularly in the details and specifics, although the fundamental energy remains the same. So if you know all of your signs, watch them all for any additional insight. And if you find that something resonates with you and you'd like to take a deeper look at something, reach out for a personal reading for yourself or even as a gift for someone else, you can click on the arrow below, the little description link, where you'll see my email address. Feel free to email me directly, Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to hear from you, and I can usually respond within the same day with more information. I do offer a wide variety of different types of readings, and I do readings full-time, so I'm pretty diligent about timely scheduling. So message me if you'd like. Okay, Scorpio. Let's see what the first 2 weeks of November look like for you. I am using the Tarot of Dreams and clarifying with the Gilded Tarot. All right, Scorpio, we begin with the Ten of Cups, the Happy Home card, marriage, childbirth, home, family, harmony, feeling like everything has just come together and connected in every way that you want it to, especially around home and family. With the Three of Wands, feeling more positive, optimistic, hopeful about the future. It's kind of a card of waiting for your ships to come in, but feeling quite optimistic about what's going to be on those ships. Next we have the Hanging Man, also a card that requires some patience. The Hanging Man is kind of a self-sacrificial sort of card too. The traditional definition of the Hanging Man. You know, it represents allowing a situation to play out, even if it's difficult not to jump in. It requires no action. You know, this is allowing something to play out, not taking action, not being the aggressor or the pursuer, not making any decisive, not taking action, not pursuing. You're watching something play out. The Hanging Man can be quite difficult because it can feel like you're in stasis and limbo in a situation where you want to do something, anything, but it's not a good idea for you to. Sometimes the best way to win is to actually not engage in the battle in the first place. So it takes a certain amount of sacrifice and self-denial in order to do this. With the King of Swords, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising. This could be somebody you're refraining from interacting with, or this could be somebody that's actually assisting you in this Hanging Man process. Somebody who may be counseling you, and I'm saying that because I feel that that person is that person for someone. For others of you, it might be the other person involved in this waiting for this Ten of Cups energy. Next, we have Faith. In other decks, it's known as the Hierophant. Convention, tradition, the establishment, organizations that have deep roots, like old organized religions, institutions, universities, hospitals, the government. Here, Cyril Marchetti, the artist that did this particular deck, called it Faith rather than the Hierophant as he has in his other decks, because it literally represents the ideology of faith rather than a specific single religious path. Spirituality, you might say. With Temperance, what a combination. Both of these cards combined represent self-evolution and tremendous wisdom gained from life lived, from sacrifice, from lessons learned. It's a card of this is a card combination of evolution. Wow, you have the Hanging Man, Faith, Temperance. Temperance represents neither too much of one nor too much of the other, which these three major arcana cards have in common with each other. They're cards that require only that you walk the path in front of you, or as the Hanging Man, not engage in something outside of that. And it's interesting because Temperance can represent staying in the middle of opposite extremes and not allowing yourself to get drawn into this extreme situation over here or this extreme situation, even if your emotions are pulling on you, which is also what that Hanging Man requires. You know, in the tarot, the Temperance card sits right in between death and the devil, you know, to manage balance between the two of them, those extremes. It feels like you know, it's interesting because we have the Ten of Cups and the Three of Wands, which technically is quite a lovely combination, but it also feels like something you're waiting for, and perhaps it's something that's not realistic in this situation, because this feels like coming to a place of great wisdom and knowledge through challenging and maybe some rather painful sacrifices in terms of seeing a truth about something or admitting a truth about something. And once you do that, it's like you elevate yourself to the next level, you know, like the High Priestess kind of level. From the bottom of the deck, the overall energy is the Knight of Wands, the fastest of all of the knights, who goes charging in very passionately and aggressively. It's the opposite energy of these three major arcana cards. What an interesting reading. Let's clarify, shall we? A lot of you, whether you want to admit it or not, a lot of you, Scorpio, this feels like somebody who's in the process of coming to a final awareness of something, and it's difficult, and perhaps part of you trying to resist that final knowledge, because after you accept something for being the way it is, you realize it can't continue anymore. And so you make a difficult decision to separate yourself from something. But in a sense, that's what graduates you to the next level in your own personal involvement as a human being. Knowing what's good for us and what's not good for us, even if the thing that's not good for us is something we're really attached to and something we're really compelled to go towards. Freeing ourselves from that is what levels us up as human beings, which is why we're here to learn and grow and evolve. I hope this is it's got to make sense to somebody. Sometimes the challenge in psychically challenging is to take what you intuit in here and verbalize it in a way that actually makes sense. This looks like you're in the process of learning a great lesson that you'll never have to learn again, but the lesson is painful and there's still a part of you that resists learning it. But once you do, you're gonna, you know, bump yourself up to being a person that has an extraordinary level of wisdom and insight and compassion, but no longer being attracted to what is still feels like it's pulling on you. It's likely, looking at this card, some kind of relationship, or the illusion that a relationship is going to be turning into something that it's not. Knight of Wands. The Seven of Wands. Defensive, protective, guarding, standing by. Defensive energy. The Knight of Wands, defensive energy, which is what knights do. The Sun, light, love, warmth, laughter, fun, pressures being uplifted, being carefree. I think this is struggling with seeing the truth of a situation. Clarify the Ten of Cups. The Knight of Wands again. The Seven of Cups, that dreamy, illusionary, fantasy, building castles in the sky, daydreaming, fantasizing. The Two of Cups, the Ace of Cups. Yeah, I think this is relationship related for many of you. And it's likely a love and romance relationship too, or This looks like holding fiercely on, and maybe that's also fostered and perpetuated by the other person you're in a relationship with, that a relationship is going to evolve from the Ace of Cups to the Ten of Cups. Now, for some of you, the Two of Cups can represent best friends that sometimes evolve into something more romantic. This is a relationship with somebody that you feel very connected to. For some of you, this feels like the illusion that this relationship is going to end up as the Ten of Cups, the marriage, the happy home, the white picket fence, whatever that means to you. But I feel like it's illusionary, because that's what the Seven of Cups is. The Seven of Cups is not a bad card. It's a beautiful card. It's a card of dreaming. We all need to have our dreams. But the Seven of Cups, each of these cups is filled with something beautiful, the most perfect outcome of something. But it's water energy. It's not grounded, practical energy. It looks only at the best potential of something, not the reality of getting there or whether it's actually manifestable or not. It's very dreamy, illusionary cards. This feels like somebody who's in a relationship with someone that they feel is their soulmate, and they just know that it's going to turn into the Ten of Cups, and that might be encouraged by the other person, but I feel, in fact, that it's not. It's illusionary. It's like a cardboard cake that you see in the patisserie or bakery windows, beautifully displayed, beautifully decorated, but that's what it's for. It's decorated. It's not a real cake. It's a cardboard cake, and it's been decorated to look like a real cake with tiers and everything, and all the icing and all of that kind of the accoutrements and stuff, to entice people to come in and take a look at what's on offer. But if you cut into it, there wouldn't be any substance to it, right? Let's clarify the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is waiting. It's a gestative waiting card, waiting for your ships to come in, believing that your ships are going to come in. The Tower card just jumped out, but having that disappointed, having it crash back down again, the crumbling down of something. One more card. The Devil. Negative cycles. They keep repeating themselves. But the devil entraps and enslaves people through temptation, through something alluring, something that keeps pulling at them, which is why it's the card that shows up for addictions, obsessive energy. It ends up being something unhealthy. There's too much energy and it becomes unhealthy because it takes away a healthy balance from the rest of your life over and over and over again. But there's still something alluring in it. It's that illusion. Okay, it keeps crashing down around you, but then that devil card energy comes back around again and goes, yeah, but if we just take some time, if you just give me more time, it'll be this, it'll be this beautiful thing, but it never actually manifests. It feels like someone's in a relationship with somebody who doesn't want to go to that Ten of Cups, but they don't want to lead the person. They don't want the person to leave them, so they keep putting up that cardboard cake over and over and over again. That's what it feels like. Clarify the Hanging Man. Death and the Nine of Cups. This is the end of what you think is your wish fulfillment. The end of the Nine of Cups. You see, the Nine of Cups, it can be it's a great standalone card, and depending on how it's aspected with other cards, it can be a great card because technically it's a card of getting what you want, of your cups overflowing with abundance. But it's in a more visceral, decadent sense. It's usually portrayed as something that connects with physical things, like having more than enough to eat, more than enough to drink, more than enough money, right? But there's a difference between the Nine of Cups and the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is everything you could want and more. It has that connection of love and spirituality and home and family. The Nine of Cups is just that sheer decadent abundance card. And there's always a bit of cautionary advice with the Nine of Cups. Be careful what you wish for, because you might get it and realize that it's not everything you thought it was. So the Hanging Man is doing something difficult and temporarily putting themselves in self-sacrifice and self-denial, not acting on something I think because he recognizes that this isn't, this is about resisting. This is about being in the throes of addiction or obsessive energy and resisting that, but not by outright battle, simply by not doing anything, by not responding to the call and watching it literally die in front of you because you recognize it for what it is, that cardboard cake. Here, the Nine of Cups is not healthy. Here, the Nine of Cups is the cardboard cake. I don't know how many people this is going to resonate with, but it's just, I'm compelled to get it out because somebody out there needs to hear it. Here, the Nine of Cups is a cardboard cake. When what you really want, and the reason why you're hanging on to this is because you're almost convinced, or you keep convincing yourself from time to time that it's going to be the Ten of Cups, but it's not. It's really just a cardboard cake. And in order to really see that for what it is and allow that, and by resisting it, by not giving into it, but not doing anything else, that's what's going to allow that obsession and addiction to slowly leach out of you, if that makes sense. Clarify the King of Swords. Now, for some of you, this King of Swords is that other person, but for others of you, this King of Swords, I feel, is in a positive position of helping you through this process. It could be a best friend, a brother, a father, a pastor, a spiritual person, a counselor, because I do feel like for some of you, this is a person who's experienced in this, who's experienced in leading people through this process and helping them through this process. The Knight of Cups, yeah, this is somebody who is, for some of you, that is helping you through this process and offering love, support, and encouragement. He knows what he's talking about. This is the King of Air, smart, well-educated, a good, direct communicator, and he sees the truth and speaks the truth. Clarify faith. Faith and temperance is, this is what happens after this temptation. You go through the worst part of the temptation. This is about finding absolute balance. This is about evolving to the next level. This is about returning to what you know is good and true and rooted and established and steady. This is about the opposite of that Devil card energy. That Devil card energy, temperance, is the opposite of that. It balances that out. Because the Devil card is too much. It's obsessive. And temperance is the balance of that. Faith is clarified by the Hierophant, which is what faith is in other decks. So it's basically the Hierophant clarified by the Hierophant. The Five of Wands, conflict. The Nine of Wands, the struggle. The last quarter mile of the race, which for some reason is always the hardest, right? And the Hanging Man. It's hard to not respond. It's hard to not respond to that siren call, right? That siren call. We say that because the siren, that mythological water creature, half human, half sea creature, would make this beautiful, melodious call to the sailors, and it was very tempting and alluring. It was another version of a cardboard cake, right? And they would jump out to meet the siren, and then they would drown, right? So it's difficult. The hardest thing to do, and you've probably heard this, the hardest thing to do is nothing. That's where you're going to get your greatest wisdom and insight and growth from, is resisting that. That's where the conflict is, Clarify temperance. Temperance is finding absolute balance, which means that you break the chains this Devil card energy has over you. This is a very intense reading. Ten of Wands, coming to the end of a long-held burden. The Five of Swords, a hard-won victory. The Eight of Swords, freeing yourself from the limitations which were always up here. And the Lovers, making an important decision about the relationship. Challenging, but powerful and profound. All right, I think I'm going to leave it there and ask for any final messages, guidance, advice from Spirit for Scorpio for the first 2 weeks of November. The Ten of Swords, surrendering to a painful ending. The Eight of Cups, walking away from that which doesn't fulfill you. And the World, the last major arcana card in the tarot. This is the card of final achievement, graduation. The Fool's journey is done. A particular aspect of his life, which was an important journey. There's nothing left to be learned. To stay in this situation would be like repeating the same grade over and over and over again. You're never going to get anything more out of it. This is a card of graduation, of leveling up, which means you go to a whole new landscape. You start a whole new journey full of different lessons and different opportunities in front of you. I think it's pretty clear here what Spirit's saying, so I'm just going to leave it there. Okay. Whew, intense. That's that Scorpio energy, isn't it? When I think of Scorpio, I always think still waters run deep. That's what I always think about Scorpios. Still waters run deep. And this reading certainly fits that. All right, Scorpio, those are your messages for the first 2 weeks of November. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if I can say that, but I hope that it was helpful. I hope it was clarifying. I hope it helps you in this journey that we're all on to moving forward, moving past, moving on, moving up. That's what I hope it helps in some small way. If it resonated with you, you'd like to take a deeper look at something, reach out for a personal reading. Click on that description link. You'll see my email address, Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. Feel free, please, to email me. I'd be delighted to hear from you and even more delighted to work with you. I will see you all in a couple of weeks for the November mid-month readings. Until then, stay safe and well. I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.